and welcome back to another video. As you can see, we had a delivery of my ScrawlrBox over the weekend. I have been away all weekend and it's been very wet, and the post lady left it behind our bin out in the open, and it has rained on it all weekend. And so we have a very soggy box where, as you can see, it's not very good. It's covered in mud. So I don't know what the supplies are going to be like. So let's get this open. This is November ScrawlrBox. I can't even rip this off. It's horrendous. I really hope we haven't damaged the supplies. Okay, the supplies are not damageable supplies per se. The tissue paper's really not doing much. Okay, we've got pens. So luckily nothing that... It's not like it's watercolours, or imagine if it was the paper Viviva colour sheets or something and they'd just been wet. They'd just run everywhere. Horrendous. I'm not hopeful that the paper or anything, so we might have to substitute some of it. I don't know. I'm a little bit annoyed about this. I do think any sort of delivery company are taking the mick a little bit with some of their deliveries now. Let me just wipe this down. I'll be back with you. All right, so let's have a look. So we have, let's have a look at the featured artwork. Oh, that's lovely. I love how minimalist this is. That's really cool. I like that you can get so much detail without adding so much detail. That's very, very nice. Oh, don't mind all the damp tissue and everything. So this featured artist is Chris Pernard. I'm sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. Chris sketching on Instagram. I'm a self-taught artist from France. I started to draw 6 years ago after a very long time. Very, very nice. I love this. Really love this style. Very, very nice indeed. Then let's get into the supplies. So we have a sweet. It looks like some sort of toffee sweet. We have a snippet of the featured artwork as the sticker. And then the supplies themselves. We have this very soggy Stabilo Boss packet that seems to have 4 text marker highlighters, but in colours that you wouldn't usually get. Oh, including black. Interesting. Let's wipe these down. They're a bit damp. Everything's very wet. So we have natural tones, apparently, of highlighters. Oh, I like these. Very interesting. I like something a bit different. I like these. I like these a lot. Interesting. Okay, and then we've got the standard chisel nib on those. So I'm interested to see what those colours actually look like. Then we have quite a lot of supplies in this one. We have the Pentel pens. These are point liners. Point liners colour dye ink. Again, very wet. I apologise for all this wiping down. Oh, and they're fineliners. Oh, interesting. Oh, a really nice, cool range of colours. Really natural, earthy tones. Except this really bright green. But really nice colours. And they go really nicely with these Stabilo Boss highlighters as well. And then we have a Faber-Castell HB, but in a really wide barrel. I think this is more for accessibility, and some people just prefer a wider barrel. It is a bit more comfortable to hold than something a bit thinner. So very interesting. I've got tissue and all sorts stuck to me from all of it being wet. Very nice. I like that. And then last but not least, we have the Faber-Castell Dust-Free Clean and Soft Eraser. Nice. Perfect. You can never have enough erasers. And then the paper type that we have to go with this is an A5 multimedia pad. It is very wet at the moment, so very bowed, but hopefully because it's multimedia, it will dry out nice and flat, and we can still use that. And then let's have a look at this very soggy zine. Like I say, I'm a bit disappointed with the postal service. I'm finding, you know, the likes of Every DPD and all that just leaving your parcel. Same with Amazon. They just leave your parcel at your door, whether you're in or not, whatever rain or sunshine. But at least our front door is actually covered, and it would have been a better place to leave it on the ground. But they left it around the side, which is very annoying. It was Royal Mail anyway, so it's unusual for them to leave stuff like that, to be honest. So we've got our double page spread. It's ripping apart, so I'm not going to turn this too much. This is a little bit more about the featured artist. Really love this building style, this really minimalist look, but it looks like a lot of detail. Very, very nice. We have Scrawlr tips. some more Scrawlr tips and a deep dive into the supplies. Again, I will test them out and I will read these as we swatch. We have some artist's advice and behind the artwork. We have the Scrawlr gallery, which is from 2 months prior to this. And this was for the Scrawlr Challenge Happy Place, where we received the Aquafine De La Roni watercolours and Arches paper. And I have made the cut. I've got my lovely Bamborough Castle painting that I did for that. I really loved that painting. But there's some really lovely takes on this. Really, really lovely takes. I feel like Happy Place, it can just be so broad in what subject you want to do. But I'm pleased with my little appearance there. And then we have the Scrawlr top 3, where they choose 3 that they think were just excelled that month. This is really lovely, this cottage, and I love the impressionism of these landscapes. And this is lovely. Very, very nice top 3 there, very much deserved. We have Scrawlr Extra. So this is talking about the Scrawlr Exchange sketchbook. So this is one sketchbook passed around many Scrawlers that perhaps watch this YouTube as well. So I'd be interested to know if you took part in that. I recognise some of these names already. Very, very nice. And then some Scrawlr tips from other people. Very nice. And then the Scrawlr Extra, What is Imposter Syndrome? That'll be interesting to read, actually. And then finally, our Scrawlr Challenge is Golden Hour. Very nice. I like that, and I love the colours. I feel like we could get something really cool out of this. So I'm going to let this dry out a little bit, and then I'll probably start swatching, and let's see what we come up with for Golden Hour. Right, so for the tips and tricks on using these, we've got the usual swatching them out and adding water. As you can see here, I am adding water to these, and it worked really well putting the water down first and dabbing the ink in there. You got this lovely spider effect of it all just leaking out there. It was beautiful. However, I did try kind of using water over the top. They dry far too quickly for that, so the only way you could really do that is to do it in a palette, and I just don't know if it's the type of supply that you can do that with the most easily compared to other supplies. I just don't know why you would ever do that when there's other supplies out there that you probably have, like other water-soluble pens, etc. There's also making your mark, and that's using cross-hatching, hatching, wavy lines, stippling, all that sort of thing, using those liners, using the highlighters. They're just basically water-based highlighting pens and water-based pens in general, and they work much the same as anything else, but the colours are really beautiful. This natural set is very much up my street, and this eraser erased so well. I was absolutely shocked at how well that erased, so that'll be making an appearance in my satchel for any outings that I ever do. Then I attempted their deep dive into the highlighters and fine liners, and this was basically doing just shapes and then cross-hatching behind the shapes, and it was enjoyable to do. I enjoyed doing it, but I wouldn't say it added any depth into the testing of these supplies. I don't feel like we tested anything new by creating these patterns at all, but it was a fun step to do, and I'm glad I had a little attempt at it. It was nice to just see how they worked all together, and to test these colours one by one next to one another was very nice, and see how the fine liners actually worked really, really well with the highlighters themselves. Now, onto the artwork for the Scrawlr Challenge Golden Hour. Now, the first thing I thought of when I heard Golden Hour was actually Kirkstalabbey. It's here in Leeds nearby. We used to live very, very close to it, so it's a very frequented place and has a little piece of my heart, and we've seen it in every season you could possibly think of, and every, weather condition that you could possibly think of. It's a really beautiful place. I love it. It's a little bit of an abbey ruin, and it just always has this glow to it because it's made of sandstone, and I just thought it was the first thing I thought of when I thought of Golden Hour. So I got a picture of that I'd taken a very long time ago, and I just started applying some liner to it. I tried my very best not to go into too much detail like the featured artist, but unfortunately I just don't know if I have that in me, so I definitely went maybe a little bit overboard with the detail. But the colouring itself, I did pare back quite a lot. So I used this kind of olive green browny colour to do all the line work, blacken out areas. I didn't use the black like the featured artist did. I wanted it to be a bit softer, a bit more ethereal, and so I went with this lighter colour, and I still feel like I managed to achieve a lot of contrast with it. And I used some hatching just to create shadow in areas before I added on the highlight to layer it up using that, and I thought it looked really good. I do apologise for my lighting. It was very late at night, as it always is in winter. I wake up, start work in the dark, and I finish in the dark, so unfortunately all my lighting goes out the window until spring when it starts to lighten up, so I do apologise if it's a bit dark and a bit hazy because of it. I do try my best to light as much as I possibly can. But the liners were very, very nice and juicy, nice to work with. There's some lovely colours. I kind of brought the foreground a bit more bigger, obviously towards the foreground, as you're meant to do with perspective, and it just really looks nice, adding this little bit of detail in the front here that maybe just, I don't know, it pulls the rocks forward, the grass forward, and it pushes the abbey back, which is exactly what I wanted to do. And I feel like the featured artist did with the artwork when they added this water kind of effect on the edge of the water, so I feel like I managed to achieve that in my own way. I then added some trees and things, again using the same colour, the same liner, keeping it all really cohesive. I suppose you could use different colours for different things, but I thought that was for the best. I then added the yellow liner as a little bit of hatching along the edge, just to add that golden hour tie into the Scrawlr challenge, but also to add that kind of sandstony appearance of a lighter sand colour and that darker colour in the shadows, and I think that looks quite nice. We then go in with the highlighter. I only used 2 colours of highlighters. I used this kind of similar colour to the liner, this like beigey colour, and then I also used the green a little bit later to add all the grass and the trees, etc. And then I shaded the clouds with the pencil just to add that grey in there and add a little bit of something at the top. But I really love the composition of this. I love the simplicity of the colouring style. It's a really nice thing, and it's something I might start adopting in my sketchbook when I'm out and about, just something a bit quicker, a bit easier to paint, because sometimes I really fall into that trap of adding far too much detail, spending too long, then hating it because I've done too much detail. I've almost pushed it too far, but I feel like this worked really, really nicely. So this Scrawlrbox was a success. I feel it's a really nice set of supplies. I 100% will be using these highlighters for my day job, etc., because I really love the range of colours, the natural colours of the, I'll be using them in art no doubt as well. But considering this started off with a very soggy package, I feel like the outcome's very nice. The challenges worked out very nicely, and I feel like everything looks as good as it can. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.